Let me tell you something. The greatest tragedy in life is not death. The greatest tragedy is to live every single day and never value yourself. You wake up, you breathe, you move, but you don't even recognize the treasure inside of you. That's why you get distracted so easily. That's why you give people your time who don't deserve your energy. Because somewhere in your mind, you don't believe you're worth more. Listen to me. Your focus follows your value. If you don't see yourself as priceless, you'll keep selling yourself cheap. And I'm here today to tell you, it's time to stop renting your life to distractions and start owning your destiny. You keep wondering why you don't have the energy to chase your dream, why you wake up drained, why you feel like life is heavier than it should be. It's not because you're not capable. It's not because you don't have talent. It's because you're bleeding energy into things that don't matter. Some of you are running out of strength, not because of the grind, but because of the gossip, not because of your purpose, but because of your procrastination. You're trying to win with a broken focus, and that's impossible. If I gave you a Lamborghini and you drove it every single day, but instead of putting gas in the tank, you poured water, how long do you think that car would run? It's not the car's fault. It's not the engine's fault. It's not the design's fault. It's the fuel you're putting in. And some of you are fueling your life with distractions and expecting success to come out of it. I've been there. I know what it's like to waste time. I know what it's like to give attention to people who don't deserve it, to say yes to everything and everybody, to get caught up in things that add nothing to my destiny. And let me tell you, it almost cost me everything, because when you give your energy to the wrong things, you have nothing left for the right things. You want to build wealth. You want to build legacy. That takes more than talent. It takes focus. You can't plant a seed, walk away, and then expect a harvest. You got to water it, nurture it, protect it from the weeds and distractions. They're weeds. They don't just steal sunlight, they steal life. They choke out your potential until all you have left is regret. Aristotle once said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. If you keep repeating distraction, you're not building excellence. You're building emptiness. You're teaching your brain that your future doesn't matter. And once your mind starts believing that, you've already lost. That's why some of you don't feel valuable, because deep down, you know you're not investing your energy where it counts. You can't lie to yourself forever. You can't binge Netflix all week and then complain about why your business isn't growing. You can't talk about wanting financial freedom and then waste every dollar on things that lose value the moment you buy them. Your life reflects your focus, always. I remember when I was young and hungry, I didn't have much, but I had time. And instead of wasting it on parties, instead of wasting it on people who didn't care if I succeeded or failed, I locked in. I studied. I read. I worked. I sacrificed. And because of that, I started building momentum. I started putting myself in rooms I didn't belong in yet, but I got there because I valued where I was going more than where I was. Some of you are still stuck because you're too loyal to distraction. You keep picking comfort over calling, entertainment over elevation. You're tired not because life is hard, but because your attention is cheap. Listen to me. Kings don't entertain clowns, and warriors don't waste arrows on shadows. You've got to decide once and for all that your energy is sacred. Every text you answer, every conversation you have, every hour you spend, it's either adding value to your destiny or subtracting from it. Stop giving away your life to things that don't deserve it. Stop leaking your greatness through the cracks of distraction. Because once you focus, once you channel every ounce of your being toward your vision, that's when you multiply your value. That's when you create wealth. That's when you start building a legacy that can't be shaken. And I came here today to tell you, close the leaks, cut the distractions, and lock in, because your destiny deserves your full focus. You will never focus on something you don't believe has value. That's why so many of you can't lock in. You don't see your own worth. When you don't know how valuable you are, distractions look like opportunities, and cheap thrills feel like fulfillment. If I handed you a diamond and you thought it was a piece of glass, you'd toss it aside. You wouldn't protect it. You wouldn't invest in it. But if you knew the worth, you'd guard it with your life. And some of you are treating yourself like glass when in reality you're a diamond. You're priceless, But because you don't see it, you let people handle you any kind of way. You let your time slip through your fingers. You let your dreams collect dust. I had to learn this the hard way. There was a season in my life when I didn't value me. I thought my background, my mistakes, my failures defined my worth. I looked in the mirror and I didn't see a future. I saw flaws. And when you see yourself like that, you stop demanding more from yourself. You stop expecting greatness. You accept whatever life throws at you. But the moment I started to recognize that my life had value, that my time, my talent, my mind were worth something, that's when I started cutting off the noise. That's when I started locking in. Because when you realize your life is priceless, you stop selling it cheap. Think about it. You don't leave money scattered on the sidewalk for anyone to take, but you leave your hours out there for anybody to waste. You don't hand out your car keys to strangers, but you hand out your peace, your energy, your focus like it costs nothing. Plato once said, the most important thing is not life, but the good life. You can't live the good life if you don't value the life you've been given. The foundation of wealth, the foundation of discipline, the foundation of focus, it all begins with believing you're worth it. Let me give you a picture. If you walk into a luxury store, you notice something, nothing in there has price tags that scream for attention. Why? Because the worth of those items isn't up for debate. They don't have to convince you. They already know what they're worth. And some of you need to adopt that mindset. Stop begging people to see your value. Stop trying to convince everyone that you matter. When you know your worth, you carry yourself different. You don't have to chase validation. You don't have to prove yourself to everybody. You let your discipline, your focus, your results speak. I remember when I was hustling, trying to get through school, trying to build a life, when everything around me said I wasn't supposed to make it. And the only reason I stayed focused, the only reason I didn't quit when it got hard was because I had finally convinced myself that I was worth finishing for. My dreams were worth it. My family was worth it. My future was worth it. If I didn't value myself, I would have given up a long time ago. Because when you don't think you're valuable, you settle. You settle for jobs that don't honor you, relationships that drain you, habits that destroy you. But when you know your worth, you raise the standard. You demand more from yourself and more from life. Listen to me. Focus isn't about discipline alone. It's about dignity. You can't consistently focus on something if you don't believe you're worth the reward at the end of it. You'll sabotage yourself every single time. So today I need you to stop treating yourself like a bargain bin. Stop acting like your time is on clearance. Start walking like your presence is power. Start working like your future is valuable. Start living like your life has weight. Because when you know your worth, you stop chasing distractions and you start chasing destiny. And the day you decide to value yourself is the day you unlock the focus that changes everything. You say you want success. You say you want to level up. But let me tell you something. Your mouth can say whatever it wants. Your discipline tells the truth. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. When you're disciplined, you're telling yourself, I am worth consistency. I am worth sacrifice. I am worth waking up early, grinding, studying, pushing, even when I don't feel like it. And when you're not disciplined, you're saying, I don't matter enough to keep a promise to myself. You hear me? It's not about the world. It's not about the haters. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. I've seen too many people with dreams that never saw daylight. Not because they didn't have talent, not because they weren't smart, but because they refused to discipline themselves. Talent can open the door, but only discipline keeps you in the room. You might get one opportunity, but if you don't have the focus and the grind to follow through, it'll slip right out of your hands. Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. That means greatness isn't about one big moment. It's about what you do every single day when nobody's watching. Let me be real with you. There were mornings I wanted to stay in bed. There were nights I wanted to quit. Nobody would have blamed me. But discipline kept me going when motivation ran out. Discipline isn't sexy. Discipline doesn't feel good in the moment. Discipline doesn't give you the rush that distractions give. But discipline pays you interest every single day you invest in it. The reason most people never taste success is because they only work when they feel like it. And feelings are the most unreliable thing you can build a life on. If you build your life on feelings, you'll quit every time it gets uncomfortable. But if you build it on discipline, you can weather any storm. Think about the farmer who plants seeds. He doesn't see a harvest the next day. He doesn't pull the soil back every morning to see if something's happening. No, he keeps watering, keeps tending, keeps waiting, because discipline tells him the harvest will come if he stays faithful. That's the same with your life. Discipline is planting seeds daily, even when you don't see results yet. Discipline is going to the gym when you're sore, studying when you're tired, grinding when nobody claps for you. I remember when I was chasing my degree, I didn't have money. I didn't have the support system most people had. What I had was discipline. While others were partying, I was studying. While others were sleeping, I was grinding. While others were distracted, I was locked in. And that wasn't because I was stronger than them. It was because I had finally respected myself enough to keep showing up. Every time I refused to skip class, every time I pushed past fatigue, I was telling myself, you matter, your future matters, don't you dare quit on you. That's what discipline is. It's a daily reminder that you refuse to quit on yourself. And let me tell you something powerful. Discipline creates freedom. People think discipline is a prison, that it locks you down, but no, discipline is what unlocks your freedom. When you're disciplined with your money, you buy your time back. When you're disciplined with your body, you buy your health back. When you're disciplined with your mind, you buy peace back. The people who lack discipline are the ones who stay stuck, who stay broke, who stay stressed. They live in chaos because they won't respect themselves enough to create order. I need you to understand this. You can't call yourself valuable and live without discipline. Because if you truly believed in your worth, you wouldn't let yourself waste your own potential. You wouldn't break promises to yourself every other day. Real respect doesn't come from the applause of others. It comes from the discipline you live with when nobody's looking. So today, I'm asking you, are you willing to love yourself enough to be disciplined? Because until you do, you'll never see what you're truly capable of. One of the hardest lessons I ever had to learn was this. You can't take everybody with you. I don't care how much you love them. I don't care how long you've known them. I don't care what they meant to you yesterday. If they're not helping you grow today, they're holding you back. Some of you are stuck, not because you lack talent, not because you lack opportunities, but because you keep carrying dead weight that was never meant to go where you're headed. And you wonder why you're tired. You wonder why you can't focus. You wonder why you keep falling back into the same cycle. It's because you've got people in your circle who don't belong in your future. Listen to me, growth requires pruning. Even the strongest trees get trimmed so they can bear more fruit. And if you don't cut off the branches that aren't producing, they'll drain the nutrients from the ones that can. That's your life right now. You're trying to focus, you're trying to value yourself, but you keep feeding people who only take from you. They don't water your soil, they don't pour into you, they don't challenge you to be better, they just drain you. And as long as you allow them to stay, you're telling yourself that your peace, your progress, your potential doesn't matter. There was a time in my life when I had to face this reality. I had friends I loved dearly, but they weren't on the same path. They wanted to party. I wanted to grind. They wanted comfort. I wanted growth. And I had to make a choice. Do I stay loyal to the past or do I stay loyal to my future? It hurt. I'm not going to lie to you. It felt like ripping out part of my own heart. But once I cut off what wasn't growing me, I found a freedom and clarity I never had before. And that's when I started leveling up. The Roman philosopher Seneca once said, associate with people who are likely to improve you. That's deep because some of you spend more time with people who weaken you than with people who strengthen you. You spend your mornings scrolling through gossip, your afternoons around complainers, and your evenings listening to people who've never built anything telling you why your dream won't work. And then you wonder why you don't believe in yourself. Let me be clear. Your environment is feeding you every single day. And if you don't cut off the poison, it'll kill your purpose. You can't keep making excuses like they're family or we grew up together. I get it. Loyalty is powerful. But let me ask you, what good is loyalty if it costs you your destiny? What good is it if you stay loyal to someone else's comfort and betray your own calling? Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is distance yourself so they can see what it looks like when someone actually commits to growth. You're not abandoning them. You're choosing to value yourself. I'll never forget the season when I stopped answering every phone call, when I stopped showing up at every event, when I stopped letting everyone have access to me. Some people got offended. Some talked about me. Some called me arrogant. But what I realized was this: when you're serious about your growth, not everyone's going to understand, and that's okay because they're not supposed to. Your vision was given to you, not them. And let me tell you something, when you finally cut off what doesn't grow you, that's when you make space for what does. The right people, the right opportunities, the right energy. They can't show up until you clear out the wrong ones. Some of you are so full of toxic relationships and empty conversations that there's no room for the blessings trying to come your way. So I'm telling you today, value yourself enough to cut it off. Cut off the friendships that keep you stuck. Cut off the habits that drain you. Cut off the distractions that steal your time. Because if it doesn't grow you, it's already killing you. Clarity is power. Don't miss that. Not talent, not money, not connections. Clarity. Because when you don't know who you are and what you want, life will drag you in every direction and leave you exhausted. Some of you aren't failing because you're weak. You're failing because you're foggy. You wake up every day moving, grinding, pushing, but you're not moving toward anything specific. You're just busy, and busy doesn't build greatness. Focus does. There was a time in my life when I thought working hard was enough. I was putting in hours. I was moving nonstop, but the results didn't match my effort. And I realized why. It's because I had no target. I was like an archer shooting arrows in the dark, hoping one of them hit something. And let me tell you, hope is not a strategy. Once I got clear about who I was and what I was called to do, everything changed. The grind became purposeful. The sacrifices started making sense. The no's I had to say didn't feel like losses anymore. They felt like protection. The philosopher Aristotle once said, the soul never thinks without an image. That means if you can't see it, you can't seize it. If you can't visualize the life you want, if you can't picture the person you're supposed to become, you'll stay trapped in cycles of confusion. And that's exactly where some of you are, spinning, drifting, wandering, because you haven't stopped long enough to define your vision. Let me make it plain. If you're driving and you don't know the destination, every turn looks like an option. That's why distractions keep pulling you off course. That's why you keep saying yes to things that don't align with your future. You don't know what's for you because you haven't decided what you're after. But the moment you get clear, decisions get easier. You don't waste energy debating. You don't waste time explaining. You simply say, that's not my lane, and you keep it moving. I remember when I first got serious about valuing myself, I wrote down my goals, not in my head on paper. I got specific. I said, this is the income I want. This is the impact I want. This is the life I want my family to live. And once I wrote it down, it was like the fog lifted. I could see it. And once I saw it, I started aligning my habits, my circle, my environment to match it. And that's when doors started opening. Not because the universe suddenly got easier, but because I finally stopped fighting myself. Clarity protects you from being manipulated. When you're clear, people can't just sell you anything. They can't waste your time with opportunities that aren't really opportunities. They can't drain you with nonsense because you already know where you're going. That's why valuing yourself starts with vision. If you don't value your life enough to define it, somebody else will define it for you. And they'll use your time, your energy, and your gifts to build their dream instead of yours. One of the wisest sayings from Proverbs is this: without vision, the people perish. That's not just a spiritual truth. That's a life truth. Without vision, your time perishes. Your energy perishes. Your focus perishes. And eventually your potential perishes. You don't want to get to the end of your life realizing you were climbing a ladder that was leaning against the wrong wall. So today I'm asking you, what do you see? Not what do you wish for? Not what sounds nice, but what do you clearly see when you close your eyes? Can you describe it in detail? Can you write it down? Can you map out what it's going to take? Because the sharper your vision, the stronger your power. I'm telling you right now, once you get clarity, you become unstoppable. Distractions lose their grip. Fear loses its bite. Doubt loses its voice. Because now you're not just moving, you're moving with direction. And when you move with direction, every step compounds. Every sacrifice adds up. Every day matters. So hear me clearly. Stop living in the fog. Stop letting confusion steal your destiny. Sit down, get still, write the vision, and make it plain. Because clarity creates power, and that power will change your life forever. Excuses are the silent killers of value. You can't see them. You can't always hear them, but they are eating away at your potential every single time you let one slide. And the dangerous part is excuses feel comfortable. They sound good. They protect your pride. They let you walk away without facing the truth. But let me be clear. Every time you choose an excuse, you are choosing to shrink your value. You are saying to the world, I am not worth the discipline. I am not worth the sacrifice. I am not worth the fight. There was a point in my life where I had every excuse ready. I didn't have resources. I didn't have connections. I didn't come from money. I didn't have the right education at first. And trust me, I used those excuses like a shield. Every failure, every shortcoming, I could justify it. But here's the reality. Excuses don't stop the pain of failure. They just prolong it. You're still in the same place, only now you've wasted more time. The Greek philosopher Epictetus once said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's the truth. Most people don't want to face. Excuses let you blame circumstances, blame people, blame timing, blame everything except yourself. And as long as you blame, you stay powerless. Because if it's always someone else's fault, then you're always waiting for someone else to fix it. That's why I say excuses are enemies. They steal your power by convincing you it's not your responsibility. Listen, if you want to build wealth, if you want to value yourself, you can't afford excuses. You can't afford to keep letting yourself off the hook. Because value is created through consistency, through accountability, through pushing past what feels good. And excuses are the opposite of that. Excuses let you take the easy road, but the easy road never leads to greatness. I'll never forget the moment I decided to stop making excuses. I was at a low point, frustrated with where my life was, and I had a choice: either keep blaming everything around me or look in the mirror and admit that I was the problem. That was the hardest moment of my life, but also the most freeing, because once I admitted it was me, I realized it could also be me who changed it. And from that day on, I stopped rehearsing excuses and started rehearsing excellence. Excuses not only waste your time, they rob others of your gift. There are people depending on you, your family, your community, generations coming after you. And every time you let an excuse stop you, you're withholding the blessing that was supposed to flow through you. You're too valuable to live beneath your calling just because it's easier to explain failure than to fight for success. You need to understand your value is proven in your actions, not your explanations. Nobody's going to look back at your life and admire the excuses you gave. Nobody's going to say, wow, they didn't reach their goals, but at least they had great reasons. No, people respect results. People are inspired by resilience. People remember the ones who kept going when everything in them wanted to quit. The book of Proverbs says, the sluggard says, there is a lion outside, I will be killed in the streets. That's what excuses are. Imaginary lions keeping you trapped in the house of mediocrity. Yes, there will be obstacles. Yes, there will be risks. Yes, there will be moments that feel impossible, but you can't let fear or circumstance give birth to excuses that paralyze you. You either face the lion or you let it own you. So I'm telling you right now, stop feeding your excuses and start feeding your execution. Stop telling the world why you can't and start showing the world why you can. Your destiny doesn't need reasons. It needs results. Your greatness doesn't need apologies. It needs action. Excuses will always whisper in your ear, but you got to drown them out with commitment. You got to decide once and for all, my value is too high, my purpose is too great, and my time is too precious to waste on lies that keep me small. So hear me today, kill the excuses before they kill your future. Discipline is the highest form of self-respect. When you wake up and decide to stay committed, when you deny yourself the easy option, when you hold yourself accountable, even when nobody's watching, that's when you are telling the world, I value myself. Without discipline, your focus is scattered, your energy is wasted, and your potential is buried. Discipline is the gatekeeper that protects your worth from being stolen by laziness, distraction, and inconsistency. I had to learn this the hard way. There was a season in my life when I thought passion alone would get me there. I thought wanting it badly enough was enough. But passion without discipline is like a car with no fuel. You can sit in it, dream about the road trips, rev the engine in your imagination, but you're not going anywhere. Discipline is the fuel. It's the daily grind, the boring repetitions, the uncomfortable sacrifices that nobody claps for. That's what actually moves you forward. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. That's why discipline is non-negotiable. You don't become excellent once. You don't build wealth once. You don't become valuable once. You do it over and over again until it becomes who you are. And every time you choose discipline, you're depositing into the bank of your future. You're building interest on your worth. But every time you choose the shortcut, every time you choose comfort over commitment, you're withdrawing value. Let me make it practical. If you say you value your health, but you don't have the discipline to take care of your body, what happens? Eventually, your body will show the truth. If you say you value your dreams, but you keep hitting the snooze button instead of getting up to work, your results will reveal the reality. Discipline doesn't lie. It exposes whether you truly value yourself or whether it's just talk. There was a time I had to discipline myself, not just in action, but in thought. I realized the mind is the battlefield. It's easy to say, "I'll do it tomorrow." It's easy to justify, "I deserve a break." But discipline means telling yourself the truth when it hurts. Discipline means saying, "No, I don't deserve to quit on myself. I don't deserve to delay my destiny. I deserve better than excuses." That shift changed everything for me. Once I disciplined my thoughts, my actions followed. The Roman philosopher Seneca said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Think about that. Discipline is freedom. Most people think discipline is restriction. They think it's chains, but the opposite is true. Without discipline, you're a slave to your impulses, a prisoner to your distractions. With discipline, you're in control. You choose where your time, energy, and focus go. That's not bondage, that's power. And if we're talking wealth, if we're talking success, if we're talking legacy, understand this. Money without discipline is a curse. Opportunities without discipline are wasted. Talent without discipline dies young. How many people have you seen with gifts, with chances, with potential, but no discipline? They burn bright for a moment and then fade away. Discipline is what keeps the flame alive. Discipline is what ensures your worth doesn't just get noticed, it gets multiplied. I'm not telling you. Discipline is easy. It's not. It will hurt. It will test you. It will force you to say no when everything in you wants to say yes. But every sacrifice is proof of your value. Every moment you choose discipline is a declaration. I believe I'm worth the effort. I believe my future is worth the fight. I believe my destiny is worth the delay of comfort today. So if you truly want to focus and value yourself, you must build a life of discipline. Stop waiting for motivation to save you. Stop relying on feelings to guide you. Feelings change. Discipline doesn't. You can't control how you feel every day, but you can control what you do every day. You can control what you do every day. And what you do daily determines who you become permanently. So remember this, discipline is the armor that protects your worth. It's the fence around your value. It's the guardrail that keeps you from driving off the cliff of wasted potential. And if you're serious about your life, if you're serious about wealth, if you're serious about legacy, you don't play with discipline. You protect your worth by protecting your habits. And you protect your habits by protecting your discipline. Because at the end of the day, discipline isn't punishment. It's the highest form of self-love. If you're serious about valuing yourself, then listen closely because the people you surround yourself with will either multiply your worth or subtract from it. You can't claim to value yourself while keeping company with people who constantly devalue you. You can't tell me you're focused if everybody around you is a distraction. The truth is your circle is either building you up or breaking you down, and you can't afford to play games with that. I learned this firsthand. When I was younger, I thought loyalty meant keeping everybody around no matter what. I thought I could drag dead weight into my future. But let me tell you, dead weight doesn't move. It only slows you down. The moment I decided to cut ties with people who didn't see my value, I started running faster toward my goals. That wasn't betrayal. That was self-respect. Confucius once said, if you are the smartest person in the room, then you are in the wrong room. Think about that. Some of you keep choosing rooms where your value is ignored because you're afraid to step into places where you'll be challenged. You're surrounding yourself with people who are comfortable with your mediocrity instead of people who demand your greatness. That's why your life isn't shifting. That's why your worth feels unrecognized, because you're sitting in circles that can't see it. If you hang around people who don't value themselves, how can they value you? If their conversations are always about gossip, shortcuts, and settling, don't expect them to celebrate your discipline, your ambition, your sacrifice. Misery loves company. Comfort zones love company. But so does greatness. Greatness attracts greatness. That's why you've got to be intentional about your circle. Let me make it practical. If you're trying to build wealth, but your closest friends only talk about partying every weekend, you're not aligned. If you're trying to get your body right, but your crew keeps pulling you to fast food at midnight, you're not aligned. If you're trying to discipline your focus, but your circle keeps feeding you distractions, you're not aligned. And don't fool yourself into thinking you can resist it. Your environment is stronger than your will if you keep exposing yourself to it. Plato said, the people we meet are the instruments that either tune us or play us out of key. That means every single person around you is either sharpening your sound or silencing it. They're either amplifying your worth or drowning it in noise. That's why you've got to stop begging for acceptance in places that don't deserve you. Stop explaining your vision to people who can't see it. Stop lowering your value just to be liked. There was a season in my life where I had to ask myself one hard question. Does this relationship honor the version of me I'm becoming, or does it only benefit the version of me I'm trying to escape? That's deep, because some of you keep relationships alive that only feed your old self. They keep you tied to the habits you're trying to break. They keep you comfortable in the pain you're supposed to outgrow. That's not love, that's sabotage. I had to choose differently. I started surrounding myself with people who not only saw my value, but expected me to walk in it. People who didn't let me slack. People who called me higher. People who reminded me of my worth when I forgot it myself. And let me tell you, that wasn't easy. Because people who truly value you won't always tell you what you want to hear. They'll tell you what you need to hear. They'll hold you accountable. And if you're not ready for growth, that kind of love will feel like pressure. But pressure is necessary. Diamonds don't form without it. You don't grow without it. And the people who value will never let you settle for less than you are capable of. They'll see the gold in you even when all you see is dirt. They'll remind you of your worth when life tries to make you forget it. So here's the challenge. Audit your circle. Look at who you spend the most time with. Do they push you to value yourself? Or do they pressure you to waste yourself? Do they call you to focus, or do they constantly feed your distractions? Do they help you build discipline, or do they encourage your excuses? Be honest about it, because your future depends on it. If you really want to focus and value yourself, you can't just change your habits. You got to change your environment. Because sometimes the biggest act of self-love is not just saying yes to yourself, but saying no to the people who don't see your worth. And the moment you do that, you'll discover something powerful. You don't lose people when you value yourself. You only lose those who never valued you in the first place. Everybody in this room has been through pain. Some of you are carrying it right now. You've been betrayed, you've been broken, you've been overlooked, and somewhere in your mind you thought pain was a punishment. But hear me when I tell you this. Pain is not punishment. Pain is preparation. The reason you feel it so deeply is because it's shaping you into something greater than you are right now. When I was homeless, sleeping in abandoned buildings, I thought the pain of those nights was proof that life had forgotten me. But the truth, those nights built me. They carved resilience into me. They taught me to value every opportunity, every dollar, every chance to grow. Without that pain, I wouldn't have the fire that fuels me today. Without that struggle, I wouldn't respect the success I have now. Heraclitus said, out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls. The most massive characters are seared with scars. Let that sink in. You're crying over scars that were never meant to shame you. They were meant to strengthen you. Your scars are not signs of weakness. They are evidence that you survived. They are proof that you made it through what was designed to destroy you. Some of you want the purpose, but you don't want the pain. You want the glory, but not the grind. But listen to me. You cannot separate them. Purpose is born in pain. Think about it. Every great invention, every movement, every breakthrough in history came from somebody's pain. Somebody got tired of injustice. Somebody got sick of lack. Somebody went through heartbreak, failure, disappointment, and they said, I'll use this. I'll turn this into something greater. Take Thomas Edison. He failed over 1,000 times trying to create the light bulb. Do you think that didn't hurt? Do you think rejection, failure, and ridicule didn't cut him? But he understood something. Failure wasn't pain wasted. It was pain invested. Every failure brought him closer to purpose, closer to discovery. Now let's make this real. Some of you have lost jobs and you thought that loss was the end. But maybe it was the push you needed to finally build your own dream. Some of you went through heartbreak and you thought that pain broke you. But maybe it was positioning you to finally love yourself enough to stop settling. Some of you got rejected from opportunities, but maybe that rejection redirected you to the purpose that was always yours. Pain closes the wrong doors, so purpose can open the right ones. And let me be honest, pain will always ask you a question. Are you going to let this break you, or are you going to let this build you? When I was sleeping on the streets, pain asked me, will you quit here, or will you use this to fuel your future? And I decided my pain wasn't going to be my prison. It was going to be my passport. My suffering wasn't going to be my story. It was going to be my strength. Think about it. Gold has to go through fire before it shines. Steel has to be hammered before it's strong. Diamonds are formed under extreme pressure. So why do you think your life should be any different? You want to shine without fire. You want to be strong without struggle. You want to be valuable without pressure. But life doesn't work like that. Pressure produces greatness. Pain produces purpose. And I know it hurts. I know it feels heavy. I know you want to quit sometimes. But hear me, quitting won't make the pain go away. Quitting only makes the pain permanent. If you keep pushing, if you keep grinding, if you keep focusing, that pain will transform into something you never imagined. That heartbreak will become your wisdom. That failure will become your foundation. That rejection will become your redirection. So stop running from the pain. Stop numbing it. Stop avoiding it. Embrace it. Because inside of that pain is the very purpose you've been praying for. Inside of that suffering is the seed of your strength. Inside of that pressure is the path to your greatness. And when you finally understand that, you'll stop asking, why me? And you'll start saying, try me. Because now you know every pain is an opportunity, every scar is a story, and every struggle is a stepping stone to the destiny that's waiting for you. So let your pain produce. Let it shape you. Let it guide you. Because the truth is simple. Pain is temporary, but purpose is forever. Let me break it down to you so it sticks. Your time is the most valuable currency you will ever own. More valuable than money, more valuable than gold, more valuable than anything in your bank account, because once you spend it, you can't get it back. You can lose money and make it again. You can lose possessions and buy them again. But when you waste time, it's gone. That's it. And the dangerous part, most of you spend your time like it's unlimited when it's the most limited thing you've got. I remember being younger, watching people waste years of their life waiting for the right moment, waiting for opportunities to come knock at their door, waiting for someone else to validate them. And I'm telling you, waiting is expensive. Waiting will bankrupt your future. When I was homeless, I couldn't afford to waste time. I had 24 hours like everybody else, but how I chose to spend those hours determined whether I stayed stuck or whether I climbed out. And I refused to let my time get stolen by distractions, by excuses, or by people who weren't going where I was going. The ancient philosopher Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Think about that. It's not life that robs you. It's how you spend it. You're not running out of life as fast as you are throwing it away on things that don't matter. Hours scrolling, hours gossiping, hours chasing people who don't even see your worth. And then when opportunity comes, you say you're not ready. You're not ready because you've been broke. Not broke financially, but broke in how you've invested your time. Here's the truth. Your time is either an investment or an expense. Every day, you're either making deposits into your greatness or you're wasting withdrawals on your distractions. You get 86,400 seconds every single day. That's your paycheck. The question is, what are you doing with it? Some of you spend it binge watching shows. Some of you spend it complaining about how unfair life is. Some of you spend it living in the past, and then you wonder why your account is empty when life asks you to pay up with discipline, with focus, with sacrifice. When I decided to value my time, everything in my life changed. I stopped answering every phone call. I stopped saying yes to everybody who wanted my attention. I stopped wasting hours on things that gave me nothing in return. I started studying, grinding, working, and building. And I realized saying no to distractions was actually saying yes to myself. Saying no to wasted hours was saying yes to my purpose. That's why I am where I am now, because I spent my time on things that gave me compound interest in life. Look, I need you to hear this. People who don't value their own time will never value yours. If you let them, they'll spend your life for you. They'll rob your hours, your energy, your focus, and leave you with nothing. You have to protect your time like your future depends on it, because it does. Stop giving it away like it's cheap. Start spending it like it's sacred. And don't tell me you don't have time. You do. You just choose not to use it. You say you want to start the business, but you spend hours on distractions. You say you want to get in shape, but you spend hours procrastinating. You say you want to succeed, but you don't want to pay with your time. Success doesn't cost money first. It costs time first. You got to pay up front with sweat, with focus, with sacrifice. And let me leave you with this. Time is life. Every second that passes is a piece of your life you will never see again. So stop wasting it on things that don't make you better. Stop wasting it on people who don't love you, on habits that don't serve you, on excuses that don't grow you. Start spending your time on your greatness, because if you don't, life will spend it for you, and when it's gone, there's no refund. So from this moment forward, treat your time like the treasure it is. Guard it, invest it, multiply it, because your time is your destiny. And if you value it, it will pay you back with a life of purpose, power, and peace. Listen to me. Everything I just gave you is not theory. It's survival. It's destiny. It's life. You've been given one shot at this thing called life, and how you choose to focus, how you choose to value yourself will decide whether you leave this earth empty or whether you leave it full of purpose. Stop letting distractions rob you. Stop letting excuses define you. Stop letting other people spend your time and dictate your worth from this moment on. You decide. You decide what your life is worth. You decide how you will invest your energy. You decide that discipline, focus, and self-respect will carry you to everything you've been dreaming about. But don't wait. Don't walk out of here saying, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't promised. All you have is now. Now is the time to cut off dead weight. Now is the time to build clarity. Now is the time to turn your pain into purpose. Now is the time to guard your time like the treasure it is. So here's the call to action. Lock in, bet on yourself, and refuse to quit until you've turned every ounce of your potential into reality. The world is waiting.